As I journey along the life of faith, trying to live a more spiritual and prayerful life, one of the most difficult lessons that I had to learn was that being knowledgeable is not the same as being wise. I can fill my head with all the information in the world, but it does not mean that I have gained wisdom. As Saint Bonaventure once said, wisdom is confusing to the proud and often evident to the lowly. The gathering of facts and information doesn't always lead us to the truth. Wisdom comes from a different way of seeing and knowing, and we will never achieve it if we are blinded by our self-image, our agendas, and our own points of view. That is why self-emptying is so critical to any expression of prayer and to establishing an authentic spirituality. Self-emptying, defined as the release of selfish attachments, is the path that leads to true wisdom. When we are willing to dismantle the restraints that we put on ourselves, those cherished needs, those wants, those self-absorbed identities, we can open a pathway to the soul. We are earthbound physical beings, and it can be difficult for us to see the true splendor of life all around us, because we will always be subject to certain personality traits. That's why self-emptying is not an absolute state, but a constant practice of letting go. And when we practice this art of detachment within the practice of contemplative prayer, we can experience a sense of presence that does not rely upon our own self-made identity or the accumulation of human knowledge. Holy wisdom is precisely the freedom to be present in the moment and to shed the false projections that we often hide behind. People who are fully present know how to see fully, rightly, and truthfully. They keep their heart open and they clear their mind of all division and resistance. They no longer live in the past or project themselves into a false future. They acknowledge that there is no truth or hope or love unless we are willing to empty ourselves to receive it. Practicing the art of being present is the daily task of all who wish to mature into spiritual disciples. It is our very presence, open and available, that allows us to experience and participate in the life of God. True emptiness is an openness of being. It is an ongoing receptivity to all that life has to offer, from the wonderful to the woeful. Prayer that is deep and self-emptying gives us the ability to pass back and forth from that interior chamber of our soul where we meet God to out to the world where God offers us a new wisdom that perfects the quality of our heart. The contemplative life teaches us how to sustain this wisdom and how to employ spiritual disciplines that not only make us more open, but will preserve and protect our vulnerability. Our contemplative prayer experience can move us from the bondage of intellectual slavery to the freedom of divine wisdom, where if we orient our whole being towards surrender and open ourselves up to receive, we can know God. Those who find this hard-won wisdom may seem like holy fools, but they are happy, not naive. They're not blind or ignorant of the hard realities that most of us take for granted, but they have learned to trust and live by the wisdom of God. They're not trying to protect the past by controlling the present, nor do they react against the present by trying to fix the future. They are not totally invested in their own understanding of the world. They can let go and let God do something new. The path to divine wisdom encompasses a radical journey inward, as well as a radical journey outward. For far too long, we have confined ourselves to a sort of security zone, a safe, lukewarm faith that is without challenge. We don't feel called to explore a radical path inward through contemplation, nor do we feel called to that radical path outward by committing ourselves to the social issues of our time. We prefer to stay in a secure middle position, probably because these other two ways to wisdom, the inner and the outer, both can cause pain. But trying, even if we fail or fall, we still grow in faith, remaining virtually nothing to teach us if we remain neutral. It was St. Paul in his first letter to the Corinthians who said, "Make no mistake about it. If you think you're wise, in the ordinary sense of the world, then you must learn to be a fool before you can really be wise." Becoming a holy fool is the last stage of the wisdom journey. It is knowing your own dignity, not worrying about having to polish or protect your ego. It is becoming someone who has true authority and does not have to defend it or, for that matter, anyone else's authority. It is becoming a child of God and therefore can comfortably proclaim the wisdom and the reign of God simply by being who they were created to be.